Yo, yo, what's going on? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, whenever you're watching this. This is Adventures in Traffic, episode number Diaz. That's 10 for all my bilingual people and non-bilingual people. You know, yo habla en español muy poquito, just a little bit. I'm stuck in this line of traffic that I did not know was traffic. I thought all these cars was parked. Now I got to get over. This ain't gonna work for me. I got to do some evasive maneuvers. But anyway, good morning to you. Well, it's morning for me. I'm on my way to the gig, on my way to work. But today I want to talk about, I'll be picking my brain. Oh, I'm sorry, improper English. I often search my thoughts for a relative topic to speak on, because I'm still new to this whole thing, right? But what I want to talk about today is the hood. I'm from the hood, from a place in Philly called Germantown. Never met one German in there, but I guess that was from a time when it was a lot of immigration to America from Europe, and I'm guessing it was a German settlement. I did not do my historical research, but 1 and 1 is 2, right? So I'm from Germantown. I no longer live in Germantown. Haven't since I was about 12. My parents moved me to a place called Alany. Alany was real nice when we first moved there. It's still nice. Philly is nice. It's not the place, it's the people, right? Sometimes you just got knuckleheads, and that's everywhere. So we moved to Alany when I was about 12. I finished my last year of middle school there and my first year of high school. And after I graduated, because when you graduate, you think you're grown. I thought I was grown. And I just started moving around, man, couch surfing, staying here, staying with friends, staying out all night. Started hustling, staying in the streets. And it's not as glamorous as it sounds. I wasn't a trap star, but I did okay. And then I took my money and reinvested it in education, which brings me to my current career. So now I live in Philly. Now, my wife and I, before we were married, we moved to a condo right at the city limits, right at the border of Philly. And for me, it was almost like when we moved to Alany when I was a kid, right? Because when I lived in Germantown, I only knew people who looked like me. There wasn't it wasn't very culturally diverse, except for maybe like the people who owned stores and teachers at school and the police, obviously. And I remember, I don't know if people remember, there was something called a Watchmen, right? Not the movie. If you're old enough to remember Walkman, it was something called a Watchmen. And a Watchmen was a little TV set, and it had an antenna, and you could watch local television. So I had gotten a Watchmen for, Christmas or birthday, but I remember being in Alany, 8th grade, fall. It was still kind of warm outside, and I remember sitting on the porch with my Watchmen. Now remember, if you remember from another video, I love Jeopardy. So I remember sitting on the porch after school, evening time, watching Jeopardy, and I fell asleep. And I don't know how long I was asleep for, but when I woke up, it was dark. And to my surprise, my Watchmen was still there. Now in Germantown, somebody would have stolen it. Somebody would have crept on my porch while I was asleep and stole my possessions. In Alany, it didn't happen. And I woke up and I was like, and it was still there. And it was a sigh of relief, right? And for me, that was new, to actually not have your things stolen. And that's the hood mentality, right? You expect to be crossed over, double crossed or screwed over, and it didn't happen. And that was the first time in my life that I realized people ain't so bad. You know, it's not terrible everywhere. Now flash forward, when my then girlfriend, now wife, we got together and we moved to this condo. Condo was really, really nice. Sorry, I'm looking in my rear view, trying to merge lanes in traffic. Condo was really, really nice. And we were probably the only people who looked like us in the condo. Now, we didn't move there for that. We moved there because we wanted a better school for our child. She was having some problems in the school that we were in. We were in the hood. We were in Mount Airy. Now, Mount Airy is not the hood, but there is hood people everywhere, right? So the school she was in, she was having some issues. So we were thinking about moving anyway, and we came across this condo. And I liked the area. I was like, okay, the area is nice. The school that's close is very nice. You know, we looked at the school, we talked to the people, and we made the move. Now, it was quiet, which I can appreciate when you grow up around ratchetness and gunshots and violence and all the things that come with living in the hood, right? And flash forward, we were there for about 2 years. We had our first son there, and then she was pregnant with our second son. And I want to say about 2 months before he was born, I started seeing these ants. So in the apartment, in the condo, I started seeing these ants, right? Radio's on, turn radio off. Sorry if you heard that in the background. I started seeing these ants, and I went on a tirade. I started killing ants, and I started cleaning, because I'm thinking, okay, maybe I cook a lot, so I'm like, maybe I spilled some sugar, maybe somebody left a Cheerio out or something, because, you know, also we had our older son who, you know, babies, they store snacks in the weirdest places, right? Look in the toy box, and, you know, it's a couple of fruit snacks stashed away and a few goldfish crackers. If you have kids, you know. So I just thought that I need to tighten up on the cleaning so we don't get these ants. So I killed them. A week later, I saw some more. Killed them. I'm like, okay, I'm not cleaning good enough. Then one day, my mom came to stay, hang out, you know, spend time with the grandbabies. So I'm killing these bugs, and she said, I didn't know you had termites. And I said, we don't have termites. We got ants. And she said, no, baby. No, I said, we have flying ants. And she said, no, baby. Termites look like ants with wings. And I was like, termites look like ants with wings. Light bulb went off. Because I was thinking, why aren't these ants flying? But it made sense, because if you see a colony of ants, they usually travel in a line, right? Like they're bringing food from one area to another area. But these little guys are popping up in clusters. And it made sense. We were on the first floor. We had hardwood floors. And for them, it was a buffet. It was an open buffet. And they would always pop up in clusters. Little here, little there, little there, little here. So it started to make sense. So when I realized it was termites, and knowing that the whole condo was hardwood, very nice floors, big bathtub. It was huge bedrooms. It was awesome. But termites. So for me, I was like, nah, son. So I started reaching out to the landlord. And the plan was to stay at the condo, and because there was enough room for 4 kids, right? It was 2 bedroom, but it was huge. We could have chopped our bedroom into 3 bedrooms. King size bed, all the works. So when I saw the termites, I started reaching out to the landlord frantically, like, hey, we got termites. Then I started showing him pictures of how many I was killing. And he was not responding. At least not fast enough for me. It was, oh, okay, I'll get back to you. You know, he would send a vague text every once in a while. And I got it in my mind. I was like, we're moving. And she's like, well, where are we moving to? Because that wasn't the plan. But as you know, nothing goes according to plan. So I said, I don't care. Now, I work outside of Philly, in one of the northern suburbs, and we were on the borderline of 3 counties. We were in Philly, but if we go 5 minutes this way, we're in Montgomery County. If we go 5 minutes that way, we're in Bucks County. So I said, I don't care if we move to Philly, Montgomery County, or Bucks County, as long as it's no more than 20, 30 minutes away from work, I don't care. Because I can't live with these termites. Landlord's not getting back to me. At this point, it's becoming a bill for me to kill them and clean and spray and sanitize. You know, I'm starting to dish out more money, and I feel like he wasn't being responsible. So I said, whatever, we're going to put out a bunch of inquiries, put a lot of bids in, and the first place that calls us back that's suitable, that's where we're going. So when I figured that out, when I came up with that solution, I immediately went and started procuring moving boxes, right? And what I would do is moving boxes in big lawn bags. So what I would do is I would put a couple boxes together. I would spray the inside with the bug killer. Then I would line it with one of those big lawn bags, and I would pack as much stuff as I could, tie the lawn bag really tight, spray it again on the top with the bug killer, and then seal it up. Made sure everything was airtight, and if there was any bugs, they would not survive that. So I did that as much as I could, to where we didn't lose space. And eventually, and it didn't take very long, somebody called us back. First place that called us back. And I said, well, let's go check it out. So we had a viewing set up, and we went and we looked. And the lady who owned the new place, this time it was a house, it wasn't a condo. And we were talking about a house because we wanted to move into a house. So she was like, well, why do you want to move here from where you are? It's that place is nicer, that neighborhood is nicer. And she was right. It was nicer. And I told her the situation with the termites, and I said, I just can't deal with somebody that, you know, with a landlord that I feel is irresponsible when it comes to an infestation, because that's what it was turning into. It was turning into an infestation. So, and our baby had just been born. He was like a week old. So, you know, we told her, look, we got this week-old baby. We have 2 more kids. We can't live like this. You know, I grew up in a situation where we had roaches and mice, and oh man, it makes my skin crawl just thinking about it. The infestation. But that's that hood life, right? Because your house could be clean, but if you live in a row home and the person to the left of you has an infestation and the person to the right of you has an infestation, you guys have to get on the schedule to where, hey, we're all going to fumigate and exterminate on the same day. Because when one person cleans, they'll migrate to the next house. If you know, you know. So we told her about the termite situation, and I was like, look, we got kids, we can't live like this. And she was a little reluctant. She was like, well, somebody else is interested. And I said, well, did they put a deposit down? And she said, no. We came cash in hand. Well, money talks, right? Well, if they don't call you back, you can consider it ours. You know, we'll give you a week or 2. Long story short, we got the place, and that's where we are now. Now, it's not the hood, but it's not the burbs. It's cool for me. There is some things I don't like about the neighborhood, but I ain't complaining, you know, because where I come from, things could be worse. You know, I'm always a glass is half full kind of guy. And some people don't understand that the life expectancy in the hood is low because the energy is low, right? The vibration, if you want to get into the whole vibration thing. I ain't going there. I'm not a new ager, but the vibes are low, you know. The aura of the area is negative, and this isn't the place, it's the people. You know, some people are 3rd, 4th, 5th generation street people, and And I ain't knocking my street people. I understand. I was one of y'all for a time. But you adapt to your environment, right? When the pressure's on, you sink or swim. And some people who come from places like that, there's usually one of two outcomes. Outcome one, this is what it is. This is all it's ever going to be. And I'm content with that, right? People become complacent with mediocrity. And on the flip side, you have person number two. It's like, man, I don't like this place, and I'm going to do whatever I can. I'm going to fight tooth and nail to get out of here. I'm one of those people. I'm person number two. And I know everything isn't a forever thing, right? Like, just because you live in the hood, just because you come from, bad circumstances, doesn't mean you got to stay there, right? But it starts with your mentality. Are you hood, or do you just live in the hood, right? Because culturally, you would think that the African-American culture, the urban culture, because, it's white people, yellow people, brown people, black people that live in the hood. It's not a color thing. It's a mentality thing. Because you go to certain parts of the country where there are no black people, they got hoods too. You go to other countries where English is not the first language and they are not African American or black or Caucasian or European, they got hoods too, right? So it's a mentality. And it's hard escaping that mentality, especially when all the examples you have around you is foolishness. And I know if you've ever seen the movie Friday, I think it was Next Friday, Uncle Elroy hit the lottery, and he said something to the effect of, I always said I love the hood, I'll never leave. As soon as I got my money, I was gone. And that's the thing. People who get money, they leave and they don't reinvest. Some people never leave. Some people stay and try to become a pillar. And you see what happens to certain people who stay in the hood or try to build up the community. That evil, degenerate mentality will kill you. Doesn't always happen, but look at the rapper from LA. Young man who coined the term the marathon, right? Y'all know what I'm talking about. Coined the term the marathon. Same corner he used to hustle on, he turned it into a store. A high-tech store, might I add you. He was a prolific gangbanger. Shout outs to my gangbangers, no judgment. Get it how you live. But that mentality killed that man. You look at people who try their best to change it for the next generation. It's always the person who is jealous. It's the devil. Lack of better terms. It's always that evil mentality that is jealous because who you beeping at, dummy? Stop beeping at. Don't beep at me. Dude, shut up. So I didn't turn on this light, and this guy behind me is mad. He be all right. I see him like, whatever. Anyway, talking to y'all. I ain't worrying about running no yellow light. He wouldn't have made it anyway. Anyway, that mentality will kill you, right? And some people purposely move away from that so they don't have to raise their kids around it. And the problem is, it's not everybody. Like, example, Dave Chappelle. Now, I don't like naming names, but it is what it is. Dave Chappelle lives in Ohio. And he is actively blocking an affordable housing development in his area. From what I understand, if they build it, the plans were to build this affordable housing community of like 140, 150 homes for low-income families. Now, it would be right behind his house. Well, I think he has a farm, whatever. it will be in close proximity to where he lives. And he's opposed to it. Now, I think the city is going to spend like $25 million on this development. Dummy that rolled past me. And he was trying to put some things into place, some businesses, where he was putting $65 million into the community. And his was like retail. I think it was like a comedy place. It may be a restaurant. Don't quote me. You can look it up. But he said, if you build this, I will pull everything off of the table. Meaning, he don't want them ninjas around him. Because he's worked hard, right? And Dave Chappelle comes from educated parents. He ain't no dummy. And I don't know how he grew up. I don't know his life. I mean, he could have lived in a place where he was right next door to a trap house. I don't know. But I think his parents are like doctors or teachers or something. So it's a possibility, but maybe not. I don't know. I'm not going to speak to that because I don't know exactly how he grew up. But I do know Dave Chappelle is hood. You might not be street, but he's hood. And he worked hard to get where he is, to live how he lives in a place that's comfortable for him. And I understand his mentality. I don't want him near me. If that's the case, I wouldn't have moved here. I'm sure when he chose the place to live, it was because he felt safe and comfortable in Ohio, which is the next state over from here. Now, if you've ever been to Ohio, there are certain places that's hood, right? Like real hood. I've been to Ohio once. And then you got some places that's super rural. I'm guessing that's where he lives. And then some of these rural communities, they have country accents in Ohio. It blew my mind when I saw it. Because I'm thinking, you're the next state over. Now, I met people that was from the hood, and they talk like me. You know what I mean? What's up? What's cracking? Whatever the slang is, right? And then I go to a gas station in the rural part, and the guy says, how may I help you? I was like, what? You got a country accent. This ain't the country, but they got farm country. They got farmland in Ohio, which is where Dave Chappelle lives. And I'm sure he realizes if you take these people, not all, some, because these people could be nice people, but what about the cousin that just came home from jail that need to put down the residence on his paperwork so he can get out? And he say, hey, I got this cousin that live over here right behind Dave Chappelle. Man, it's not going to be a good look for him. I understand his concerns. Now, like I said, I live in an area, for some would be considered the hood. For some would be considered, oh, this is nice, it's quiet. It's about perspective. And just because you live in the hood don't mean you have to be hood. Like, I knew people in the hood who had children that you never saw. It was like, if you remember the people under the stairs, they never came out the house. But they knew, my kids ain't mixing with y'all. Because I know what's going to happen if they get influenced by the wrong things. Like, let me get spooky for a minute. If you've ever seen the movie Fallen with Denzel, spirits travel. Spirits can jump from person to person. So people you consider influential, it's the spirit. It's the spirit in that person. And all spirits ain't good spirits. Point blank, period. And some of the people in the hood, that hood mentality, that's just a negative spirit embodying that person. And, I think his concern might be, well, I don't know who's coming with the deal, right? You build all of these houses, you got 140, let's just say 150. Let's say it's 150 houses. Out of those houses, let's say 4 people in each house. But if you know hood like I know hood, that 4 could turn into 8 real quick. You feel me? It ain't hard. It ain't hard. So I'm at work. Ain't nobody here. What's going on? I'm early. I'm gonna keep talking to y'all. This might be my longest video ever. But you know what? This sun is not the sun ain't the move right now. So I'm gonna try to fix this situation. Go to a different parking spot. Oh, that's good. That's good. Bear with me. Bear with me. All right. So if you know hood like I know hood, you know that 4 people could turn to 8 people real quick. So 150 houses, 4 people per house. That's 600 people. Out of that 600, let's just say 200 are adults. Out of that 200 adults, let's say 75. Let's say 50. Out of those 200 adults, let's say 50 are super hood. Now you got hood, you got street, you got super hood, you got super street. These are not actual terms that you can find in the dictionary. This is my analysis. But out of those 200 adults, take my seatbelt off. Out of those 200 adults, let's say 50 are super hood. Now you got 50 people living behind your house out of 600 that are hood. And like we've already established, spirits travel. Mentality is contagious. It's called crowd psychology. How long do you think it will take for Dave Chappelle's nice, comfortable, quiet, cushy life to turn into pandemonium? How long? If you say 3 months, that's wishful thinking. That's hopeful thinking. Because it could be a week. You might get some people that move in there and they might see somebody that they don't like. And if you're from the hood, you already know what that's going to bring. Bang, bang. Right? So I don't necessarily blame him for how he feels. I mean, I raised my kids don't even listen to rap music. And I used to be a rapper because I understand the power of music. I understand the power of suggestion. Now, if my boys get older and they decide, now I'm not going to say they've never listened to rap music, because at the time I used to listen to it religiously. No longer. Because I realized it's all about what you put up here will determine how you live out there. And how you go into a situation is based on your previous psychological programming, right? Your existing consciousness. So, man, I got the heat on. Man, I hope this sound ain't messed up. Whatever. If it is, I'm gonna put it out anyway. But if it is, I apologize. And if you made it this far, I thank you. Because you ain't got to be listening to me. You could be listening to somebody else that's a little better prepared to talk to you. But it makes me think about what we accept in life and how we're so used to this hood mentality and how we think it's a black thing. Media makes you think it's a black thing. Go do yourself a favor and Google the origin of ghettos. I'm not even going to say it on here. The origin of ghettos. Google that term and just dig and see what you come up with. And then tell me if it's a black thing. Because I promise you it's not. But people who look like me, Team Brown, have we become used to the perception of us. We have become, and we started to live up to that expectation and those stereotypes. Not all, Some. Not most. Some. But the prevailing thought is, oh, that's how they are. That's how they act. And if you got kids, excuse me, if you have children, you owe it to them to show them something better. I know I owe it to my boys. I don't want them doing the things I did when I was younger. You can't stop them, but you can show them an example. Like, I had cousins and I had uncles that was about that life. So for me, that's what I grew up around. It wasn't until I went to high school, excuse me, I chose the high school I went to. Because we moved when I was in 8th grade, my neighborhood high school, the neighborhood I lived in Germantown, the high school that I would have went to was Martin Luther King High School. Now, if you know hood like I know hood, anything with the name Martin Luther King on it, be it a street, a boulevard, an avenue, a school, is super hood. I ain't lying. Tell me if I'm lying. Now, because we moved, I knew that my obvious new neighborhood school was not Martin Luther King. I could have chosen to go there because that's where my friends were, but I knew even back then I need to get away from my friends. I knew what the neighborhood was. I grew up on a corner. I lived in a corner house, so I literally grew up on a corner, and I saw everything. And for a time, it made me think that this was normal. It normalized this pattern of destructive behavior. Now, when it was time for high school, I wanted to go to a school called Kappa. Now, I found out that, I guess it was 8th grade, I found out that certain schools you had to put in applications and you had to have portfolios. Now, I've always been artistic. Not autistic. Artistic. I draw, I paint, I like music. Used to write poetry and short stories and all of that, which is why I speak the way I do. And when I found out about Kappa, I found out you needed a portfolio. I wasn't the kid that saved all my drawings. I would draw something that had a little book and it would get lost or it would get messed up because I didn't keep up with it. I didn't keep it, in a safe spot. So I'm like, all right, that's out. And then there was a couple other schools. Moving to Alany, I could have went to Alany High School. I could have went to a school called Fells. There were a couple other ones. I wanted to go to one school that had a football team. I played baseball growing up. I didn't play football, but I knew there was a possibility if I played football, I might get good, and I could possibly get a scholarship to college. But I didn't know if I wanted to go to college back then, and I really didn't have an interest in football, so I was like, I don't want to do it. That's just been me my whole life. If something I'm not interested in, I don't know if I really want to do it. So there was a school called Edison that I was going to go to. Now, being as though it was my first couple of months in Alany, it was my first time being exposed to other ethnic groups. So you had, people who looked like me, you had Caucasians, you had Hispanics, all types of Hispanics. And that was my first time being around that much diversity. So thinking about going to the school Edison, I went to an orientation. And the only thing I could remember was how many girls it was. Puerto Rican girls. Now back then, 98, 99, 1998, 99 for my younger people. The hottest thing smoking was J-Lo. So here I am in this orientation, surrounded by what felt like 3,000 J-Los. Now, I ain't been in Alany long, but I'm super observant. And I noticed all of these Hispanic families I see, they all got a couple kids. At least one daughter, one, maybe two sons. And the kids were my age. I was 13. The moms looked like they were about 35, 32, 33. So that made me think they had these babies young. And it's a lot of them. So me sitting in that room and then knowing the families, starting to meet the families, I realized that a lot of the boys dropped out of school. So being in that room, it was an auditorium around all of those J-Los. No disrespect to my Hispanic people, but that's what I called them. I was around all these J-Los, and I realized out of all these girls I see, I only see a few boys. So the ratio might be 7-1. That's good odds. So out of all of these girls, let's just say I bagged me 7 girls. Oh, the door is open. Oh, okay. Let's say I bagged 7 girls. It's a possibility that it's 14 brothers who ain't in school, who's supposed to be in school. They out there being super hood. So now I got to worry about, because you got 7 girlfriends, you ain't being faithful. It's a possibility that I got to fight 14 dudes. This is how my mind works, right? Even when I was a kid. So after orientation, my mom says, "What do you think?" I said, "Don't send me there." She said, "Why?" I said, "Don't send me there." She's like, "Why?" It was a good school. I mean, they had all these, they had football, they had other sports, which I wasn't too interested in, but they had audio-visual club. I always been interested in tech. They had culinary arts. They had all kind of stuff. I'm like, man, I could do all of these clubs, because it was stuff that I really didn't get a chance to do a lot of growing up. Now, I've been cooking since I was 6. So the cooking, definitely. I definitely would have joined that culinary arts club. But all these J-Los, man. And I was like, nah, don't send me there. I said, and she asked me why. And I said, if you want me to graduate without a baby, don't send me there. It's too many girls. I knew myself even back then. It's too many girls. Now, I don't know how many young men would say that. They'd be like, yo, look at all these girls. Look at all this. Nah. We got them in the neighborhood. I'm good. I don't want no kids. Not back then. I was 13. Well, I look like being a 14-year-old dad, 15-year-old dad. Because that's what would have happened. I promise you. I promise. It's a numbers game. If it's all of these girls and it's little old me, I get at least 10. I get at least 10 in my freshman year. That was my mentality. So I said, nah, send me up to this other school. It's an agricultural school. I said, send me up there with the animals. No way I can get in trouble with all these animals around. Because I went to orientation. I ain't see a lot of pretty girls. There was a few. But it was mostly Caucasian from what I saw. Send me up there. So I had that Dave Chappelle mentality. I won't be around all these Negroes. I won't be around all this ratchetness. Because that's how it was in elementary and middle school. Like, I remember elementary school, 5th grade, walking home, seeing a kid rolling a blunt in the park. A kid that was in my school. Now, I'm pretty sure a young boy was hustling, because he looked like 2-3 years older than me. He looked like he should have been in the 8th grade. But he was in the 5th grade. And he was out there rolling a blunt. And there was other kids, 5th, 4th, 3rd grade, surrounding him in awe. Like, oh, he's rolling up a blunt. And then in middle school, it was the same thing. That's why I started selling candy, because kids was high. I know what the munchies was. I was 10. I knew what the munchies was. All right. You high? You hungry? Got this candy, baby. I'm an opportunist. What can I say? And I'm a capitalist. But I understood the hood mentality even as a baby. And my high school experience was based on that. I don't want to be around all of this. I had to travel to get to high school, and I messed up and had to leave at the end of 11th grade. And I graduated from a neighborhood school, But by then I knew to keep my head down and do my work and get out. By 11th grade, by 12th grade, I had a legal job. So I was at school, but I wasn't at, like I said, I used to carry my rap book with me. So, and I got a photographic memory. So if the teacher's talking in class, it's going right up here. End of the week, we're going to take a test. It's still up there. I ain't doing no homework. When I get out of school, I'm going to work. I'm going to go make my money. So, capitalist, right? But that hood mentality, man, I've seen a lot of people fall because of it. I know a lot of people stuck because of it. I know people 20, 30, and not even 20s, 30, 40, 50 on social media, still doing hood-ish. And I ain't judging. I get it. It's just not for me. I still love you. But we live two different lives. So, I see you in traffic. You one of those. Keep it pushing. I ain't stopping. I ain't stopping to talk. You got my number, call me. You don't got my numbers for a reason. I gave my number to everybody I know. I had the same number for going on 20 years. If you ain't still got my number, you ain't want it in the first place. Oh well. That's my spiel, man. The hood mentality. Get away from it before it kill you. Peace.